this is like, we halfway through the interview, and I'm just, this is Dedication Series, episode 3. I'm sitting here with my good friend, Jordan Dillard. We're going to have good conversation, good vibe, good talk here, just like I do in all the previous ones. Once again, R.I.P. Nipsey Hussle. That's what his dedication, that title came from. Anyway, it's based off that. One TV. Shout out to everybody that watches it on YouTube and watches it on my IGTV, because that takes it takes so much time.
It's awesome, man. You've been
to
grinding.
get that shit uploaded and put on that IGTV shit. So shout out to everybody. Now, we've been already all over the place, but I did was like, niggas do be wild, and like people would do weird things in this world. I know that had to be a thing too, because when you left, social media was social media, but like so much has happened on social media and it's evolved a lot.
Yeah, it has.
You came back, and I'm speaking on that. How do you feel? How do you look at social media, especially if you could talk about how it was to you before you left, how you felt about it, and then you look at it now, like the type of things that really that social media has now.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So when I know like we all go through periods of social media, our own stage where we're just like, oh, like I'm gonna cleanse like myself from social media, like I'm just get off there for a month. Everybody does that, right?
I'm off that thing for
and I'm just like, you gonna be right back on up, right back in the sauce. But yeah, so I definitely had an extended and very kind of forced social media cleanse whenever I went over to Africa for a year. And it was crazy. Like, you talk about this evolution of social media from, I guess, the year 2017 to 2019, where we are now, maybe what you're referring to. But for me, I don't know if I'm necessarily able to speak on that, because I was in a hole in my own evolution. I was in my own sphere of not really being that involved with social media. But I do see how it is different, because when I was there, I was like seeing things kind of like third party. As I was an American in Africa. I was a Black American in Africa, right? But in America, it's just like it's all happening to us like live time. We all in the same experience. Yeah. But I think what was unique about me being in Africa is, Trump doing all his stuff on social media, and instantly you're the only American in the community, and the world is figuring out about this stuff. So they're kind of looking at you, and they make like little comments like, "Oh, what about Trump?" And I'm just like, first of all, I have to break down to you the phenomenon that is all this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to walk them all the way back to bring them all the way up here.
Wow.
And what I found out is that, like, the way that I explain things to people is from a place of me understanding the history that goes behind things, right? So I don't just speak about things happening in a bubble. Like, we talk about Trump, his relationships with Mexico. And like, people just think that kind of just happening because of whatever, just because he wants to get reelected, or just because he hates minorities, or whatever he's saying that. But there's a long history that goes into our relationship with Mexico, that he's kind of forfeiting or doing stuff like that. And so, like, having to explain all that to somebody, it makes you see it in a different way. Like, it makes you see it as something that's not happening to you, but as a global event. Like, Trump is very much an American phenomenon. But this is global history that we're in right now. This is not just something that is bad for America, but this is bad for global relations. As we can see, it's kind of the relationship they have with China is affecting the stock market and everything. So, and the platform is unfortunately social media, but social media nonetheless. But it's definitely not a good thing. And I'm not sure if anyone knows where to place what's going on right now. Like, we have a president who literally communicates to us through Twitter.
Yeah.
Like,
imagine that.
It's crazy.
No other president has.
For good reason, though. There's no buffer. But we don't need a buffer anymore in 2019. Yeah. There's no political correctness.
Everything comes directly to you. Like, literally, the president can hop on a platform that millions of people are on and just be like, damn.
Yeah.
X, Y, and Z, this is how I'm feeling about that. Or y'all try to play me on such and such right now. Yeah. You guys are the Fed. It'll be always be like some stuff like that. Like, oh, I saw y'all trying to play me last night. It can go from that basic to like our situation with X, Y, and Z. Like, he can go from there all the way down to some, oh, Jordan Dillard, I heard you was talking about me.
Heard you come to the White House.
Like, that last CD was trash. I'm like, yo,
it's crazy.
There's nobody there like, yo, get Give me that.
There is no buffer. And then what do you think that means about a society where there's literally no buffer between? Because there are visceral emotions, like things like, ow, that hurt immediately.
Yeah.
But then there's just like, all right, 5 minutes later, you're like, damn, why did she hit me? So what do you think that not having a buffer between visceral emotions and educated opinions, like what does that mean for our society? Or what is it like in situations like, for instance, since this is the dedication series, we talk about the shooting of Nipsey Hussle. Like after he died, we literally had firsthand footage of that man being assassinated. Like what does that mean for a society? What does that mean for you as a young man growing up in America? You know, what do you think?
Just Nipsey situation, it just plays back into the whole thing of we can never get away from that whole idea that thinking you somewhere that we are all not in this same situation. Just on the day to day, like I feel for people like these everyday people that just live like taken away from their family. You know, it don't even have to be police violence because that's not always what's on my mind. Like whoever did it to you, like people just be thinking like people be getting taken away from their whole family. Or I look at my life and I'm just like, you know, I kind of like living. Like I like waking up. Like I like the feeling of even if you had a bad day, it's gonna be days. You know, wake up and you feel good just to be out. You look out the window at things. You know what I'm saying? I like living. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure the next person who I'm having an altercation with, they like living too. So is this really something big enough that it should impact us going on to our next day after this? I be thinking like, you know, it's not that, you know, a lot of times it's not that deep to me. I like, you know what I'm saying? I like living, being in my space more than I care about whatever you think you're getting off on me in this conversation or this altercation. You know what I'm saying? I really will just go the other way on you, you know what I'm saying, when it really come down to it, because I really got a lot more that I'm thinking on. Like my mom, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, I'm trying to go places, I'm trying to build.
We all are, right? We're not just thinking about, I think the thing is that like we all got these super inflated egos now that is directly correlated to like your profile on IG. So let's just reenact that Nipsey Hussle shooting on a level. Let's just say it was happening on Twitter, right? So the dude rolls up on him. He not feeling the dude, and this is just from my knowledge. I believe he got shot because he told the dude to get lost because basically he was like not really cool with the community and stuff, right? Yeah,
it was also, you know, I just really prefer you to not, you know, come around this area, you know, just don't come around this area. It was one of those, that's how it went.
Right, so like not even 20 years ago, let's just maybe put it back 50 years ago. If an altercation happens like that person to person, they're like, dang, if anything, you're going to get cussed out, you're going to cuss back. But if we reenact that situation, let's put it on a social media platform. Nah, nigga, like, you need to go ahead and dismiss yourself because like you ain't really cool here. On social media, how does somebody respond to that?
Completely.
They fly off the handle. Like there's no like, it's just like everyone seeing you, that feeling of everyone being able to see what's happening makes people's egos so hyperinflated where they feel like they have to react in a something that is final. Everybody wants the last word, everybody wants the hardest clap back. And so social media and just the manifestation of the internet in our own subconscious mind has made it where people just like literally just like, nah, like end his life, get the last word. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy because like everyone has always had an ego, but it's just like ending somebody's life is pretty much the first option in our society before making even amends. Like no, like that's it.
And that goes, man, we can break this down, we can do this again, because we can have many just different, deeper conversations based off just one topic. You know, just one topic. That's just one aspect of the question that you asked. Because, like I said, when we talk about seeing that happen to Nipsey, he's not the only one that we've recently seen this happen to on camera. And I be looking at it like, it's like, you know, I'm not with like censorship, you know, a lot of things, but it's like sometimes why are we doing? Who's the first person who got this video and decided, hey, I'm finna put this up? You know, some things it's just
at what point do you step into the situation instead of just seeing the situation? It's
like no, I don't see any other people as far as my angle for right now that just have to constantly just watch themselves on social media. On the news, just getting mutilated, and it's just like on some normal. It just shows like it's normal.
And even with that mom shooting that happened in Australia, I didn't watch the video because some videos I cannot bring myself to watch. But they was like, it looked like a video game, and it's just the level of desensitization. It's scary.
People were watching it like a video game.
The dude came in there and had like a body cam on, which is like Call of Duty. Just shot at the mosque on some Call of Duty type. Yeah, like some first person shooter game.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
And it's just like, we're kind of bombarded by all this stuff. Like sometimes I even see these things accidentally because I have an Instagram and because there is no censorship. It just comes to my timeline. Like I seen the video of Lauren London coming into the hospital, like bawling her eyes out, and we should not have the privilege to see her in that moment. You know what I'm saying? That's invasive as hell.
Come on, I'm mourning.
It's such a voyeurism though. Like we have such like a voyeuristic society now. It's like everyone gets to see everything.
Every part of my life has to be under the spotlight. Even when y'all know it's like this, like you're saying this is a terrible. You're saying this is a terrible moment. Imagine how you still coming behind me trying to get video and be like, come on, just leave me alone.
It's just like there has to be, I don't know what it will take, but there has to be a greater level of decency that is restored or created where we just say like, no, you can't film this. Is there a situation that can be filmed in today's day and age? Like, really?
I'm gonna say it's hard unless you really got a force there that can like get them the fuck up out of whatever their space is. But if it's really just a situation happening, and I'm saying, please don't film. It's like everybody has their own phone, so like unless I'm gonna chase this person around, they can still film me. You know, I can't really go up to every person trying to grab their phone. Like that's what I hate too. You know, it's no situation where human to human I can say don't film this, and everybody be like, okay, you're right.
Yeah, now we've lost our humanity.
There's gonna always be somebody over there like, you're right.
But let me go ahead and get this on film though, so everybody else can see how you're right.
You know what I'm saying? God, you should miss this though.
I don't know what it's gonna take, but I don't know. We need more love. Like we really do need more love than we have for each other right now. There's such like a loss of humanity. Like we walking around here, the inflated version, social media, internet versions of ourselves, and we forget that we're actually people that need to be talked to, that need to be cared for. That sometimes, maybe she didn't need to be filmed in that moment. Maybe she just needed some space. Maybe she just needed to be consoled. Maybe she just needed to be left alone. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, let me go ahead and put you on a platform so I can get a couple follows and stuff. Like what?
Likes.
Like I don't know what it is. Like what's it gonna take just to see each other, right? There's like I forget. There's a Swahili term that I learned over in Africa where it's like I can't remember, but basically the translation of the phrase is "I see you." And it's a popular greeting in Swahili. It's like when you greet somebody, you basically say, I see you, rather than, hello, how are you doing? It's like, no, I see you. I see your humanity first, before I ask you how you're doing. Before I try to get all invasive about what you got going and stuff. It's just like, I want you to know that I see you as a human being.
That's really dope.
And I don't think that we really be seeing each other anymore. Like you said, like even when you're trying to catch up with friends and stuff, it's not like you're seeing each other like you used to. So.
And that's why when I haven't seen you, I try my best to have those conversations. Some people who they just don't want to talk about it. You know, a lot. You know, I run into that few that just don't want to talk about it, and that's fine. But if I'm going to ask though, you know what I'm saying?
You gotta
I gotta ask because everybody is in a different place. And
everybody's in a really different place. But one of the things I always have appreciated about you is that I've never felt like it was forced or something. It's always been very organic and just like, I don't care. I don't care if I just graduated from high school and that's the closest that we've ever been in our relationship proximity-wise, or if I'm 30 years old and Greg hit me up like, oh, what's up, Jordan? Like, you want to chill? I'm like, yeah, what's up, Greg? Like, you my homie, like, you definitely not just trying to, it's never anything where I feel like forced, or I haven't seen you in 5 years. I don't ever feel like there's going to be something lost because like, I feel like you're such a genuine person and you're committed to your own growth and development in life and also in mine, right? Life's all about growth and development. I feel like as long as you can understand that about people and not try to put them in the same place that they were the last time you seen them, you really can be good with anybody you meet. But the thing is, we don't see people. We don't.
Like, why wouldn't you just want to check on? You know, so just check on people that you've known, that you had so many, like a lot of us have shared a lot of like
experience,
growth and experiences together that help to get whatever path we on now.
It may be completely
those
different.
Seeds, you know what I'm saying, was rooted. We all kind of went through those same things. So like when you see somebody through all this time, you should ask like, so
how's your path different?
How is your path versus mine? Like based on the direction that we took, you can use that to guide your children. You know what I'm saying? Like how this person path went this way because X, Y, Z. Mine went this way because of that. Like if more people talked about how their paths went certain ways, it'll just be a certainty with certain things that you'll be like, we not doing that route. Just because we all, you know this, you know what I'm saying? Like the next person walking down the street might tell you this because it's true for them also.
Exactly. And I also think that's something that becomes a barrier in having those relationships with people is that I kind of talked about like the ego side of it. Like we all have an inflated level of an ego, but we also have like an incredible capacity for shame now. Like people carry a lot of shame, right? Yeah. Especially like I'm discovering like this new phase of my life that I'm entering, and I kind of spoke about it earlier, where you're not necessarily where you will ultimately end up, but right now you should be kind of planting the seeds where you want to go, right? And a lot of people, everyone gets to their destination at different time periods. So like I know people who are in booted up jobs. I know people who aren't doing nothing. Really anything that they want to be doing, but they're doing it to sustain themselves so they can get to where they want to go. Yeah. But like some people kind of will not re-enter into old relationships, and I know that I've even had this feeling too. That's what I'm speaking on it, maybe from a personal standpoint. But it's like I don't want to see somebody that I went to high school with because like I'm gonna see them, and then they're gonna ask me what I'm doing. They're not gonna be interested in seeing me. They want to know what I'm doing for myself now, right? And so that creates in itself a level of shame. But if you don't understand on a personal level that you don't have to be ashamed of there is no point in life that you should ever be ashamed of what you're doing. If you're doing something that you're taking care of yourself and you're proud of what you're doing, regardless of what anyone says, you should be fine with that. So it's kind of two-sided. Like, you should never approach somebody and be like, yo, what you doing? Like, what you achieving? First of all, you should be like, how you doing? How's your mental? You know what I'm saying? And the second thing is you should never be ashamed of your own personal journey. I think we all take steps at our own pace. And I know that even if I compared my journey to people that are most close to, like, in my personal life, like, I wouldn't be able to get to where I needed to go. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really, life is really only about you, your personal growth and development. And everyone else is here for you to help, for you to serve, and also for you to learn something from them. But it's not a contest. It's a collaboration. It really is. My senior year in college, I got the opportunity to take a year-long trip over to Rwanda. It's an East African country below Uganda, next to the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So the reason I was there, I played basketball in college. Most people know that who know me. And I started working for a sport for development by the name of Shooting Touch. And while there, we kind of used basketball as a platform to bring members of the community into our courts and stuff. But after we got them there, like practices would only last for about an hour. But it was really unique because once we got them into these spaces, we kind of teach them about valuable life skills like health education, and all the facets that come along with that, reproductive health, water sanitation, getting tested for non-communicable diseases, and kind of just the gambit of like everything that has to do with health education. So it was an incredible opportunity just being able to be in those spaces with people who were not even from a first world country like America, and not even on the same frequency that we all operate within in this country. It was a really humbling experience and a lot of lessons learned, a lot of nights in the village, but it was cool. I really liked it.
Okay, because I remember we talked when you first came back, and I remember you were saying things like it was like an adjustment when you came back. At that time, you were saying like, I'm just really trying to adjust, like to people in my family. Like it was.
I can speak on that. Yeah. So what you're referring to? Okay, so you have to understand. I was in a rural village for a year, and at times I didn't have running water. There's food comes fresh out the ground. People are a lot more humble, a lot more in perspective of what life is actually about. And so it's tough. It was tough for me to come back into this first world state of mind where everything's always about like, oh, what are you doing now? Where are you working? What are you accomplishing? What goals you have for yourself? It's nothing that's really conducive to mental health, to overall well-being. People are having conversations like, I haven't seen you in a long time. Like, how are you doing as a human being? Like, what are you struggling with? What are you growing towards? It's such a different mindset and a different focus. And when I left the village, it was hard because when I went to Rwanda, I had left a time period in my own personal growth and development when I had left college basketball, and everything, all the struggles that came along with that, and how it kind of misshaped my identity in a way.
Yeah.
And then I went to Rwanda, and I felt like I had found this new peace, this new happiness, this new source of joy within myself, and having to renegotiate that new version of myself, the Rwanda version of myself, back into the American scope of importance and the things that we label as important in America. And it took me a long time. I would say that now that I'm about 8 months back, I think I've definitely fully adjusted, but I don't think that my mindset will ever be the same. Like, I will never come home and get in a hot shower and take it for granted, because there are people who literally I was taking bucket baths for like a whole year of my life. I'll never take a hot shower for granted. I'll never take clean, fresh water that you could drink out of the tap and not get sick. I'll never take that for granted. Healthcare, I'll never take that for granted. If I'm sick, I go to the pharmacy. I got so sick my last week in Rwanda. I caught an amoeba parasite in my stomach, and it was the sickest that I've ever been in my life. But I had to, find the inner strength just to like put myself on a moto and just go to the hospital in the middle of the city, like 2 a.m. in the morning. But like here, the ambulance will come and get you. But there, if you dying, hop your ass on a moto and like take off. Yeah. So there was a toughness, a humility, a joy that I found in Rwanda within myself that I don't know if I would have found in America. I'm not sure what spaces would have produced that same result, but I'm definitely thankful for that experience. It was awesome.
With that, oh man, I got so much I gotta go back on. I gotta go back on that too, because you said some things. I wanted to also know, with that being said, does it ever like come to you like when you said you don't know where that space is here, like thinking about getting together with a few like-minded people and creating that space? Because if it's truly a space that people need to be in, that you feel like, what I'm saying, how you saying, because a lot of things that you saying people do take for granted. You know what I'm saying? Look at you like you crazy, like it's just such a factor to a lot of people. So like, what if we did have a community of people, or just a group or a social group of people that really did think outside of that and try to make a better impact?
I think that the uniqueness of the environment that was Rwanda that I was in cannot be duplicated. That is to say, Rwanda has its own history that comes along with it being a country that it is today, as far as the 1994 genocide and everything that entails. Like 86% of the population is under the age of 30, right? And so just living in a community where you kind of are the old heads in the community, right? Yeah. But as far as do I see the results that I gained from that experience being able to happen in a place like America?
Do you think that you can better anybody here based off of those values and experiences?
Okay, that's fair. So do I think that I can provide insight to people as far as my
with having all that in my head, I just always want to talk to people while I see somebody behave in a certain way, and it'll just be like a force in you that's like, hey, young man, young woman, can we have a little conversation, like boom, 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 and break it down, because it's a lot of things that people see and we don't like
speak on,
and we don't really speak on it. But after having an experience like that, it's like, how can I
not say anything? That is fair. I did have that strong sense of needing to share my experience when I came back. I actually started a blog when I came back. I've only put out a couple posts, but it's kind of me trying to reconcile that disparity that I kind of speak on. The person I was in Rwanda and the person I am now is kind of what the blog explores. It's called The Practice of Living. And I talk about concepts that I learned in Rwanda that got solidified for me in Rwanda, at least, that I can't really reconcile here. And it's kind of cool because like I've always been the type of person that's been very introspective, very reflective, but being able to share that in that space has been very therapeutic, has been very like self-enhancing. But as far as like on some day-to-day stuff, if I ever see someone, or I like to work with kids, and I still have a strong passion for like giving out through basketball and stuff like that. But yeah, I will always tell somebody about my experience. I'm all for human connection over like ramble conversation, right? So when I sit down and talk to people, it's important that I'm actually seeing you, that I'm actually hearing you, that I'm actually being present with you. And I never really ask people that something that is a common question in communities and places like America: what are you doing now? I never lead a conversation with that. That is something that is very unique to this country. I'm like, oh, how are you? How was your day? What are you doing in your life right now? You know what I'm saying? What stage in growth are you at right now? It's important for me to talk to people in a different way. And I don't necessarily have to be talking about my experience in particular, but that experience is so embedded within me. Everything that I put forth is an enhancement of the environment, if that makes sense. Like, I never approach an environment like I did before. Like, I'm definitely more for connecting more on a human level. And I like to talk to people. And one of the things that I always like to do when I talk to people is make them feel that they're being listened to, and also help them to get a little bit closer to figure out what their actual joy is. Because people throw up these shields when you're talking to them, and you might be able to realize it, right? Especially if they're in a booted up position in life, they're in a career that they're particularly proud of. They'll be like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. And I'm just like, I'll let people do that because I'm not rude. Like, I'll let you finish a thought. But then I'm like, all right, that's cool, but like, what's really going on? Like, what are you proud of that you've done for yourself? Like, what type of self-care are you doing that you're particularly proud of that you can maybe be able to share with me? Like, what are you reading? What are you learning? You know what I'm saying? It's not always about, like, checking off lists. Like, I'm 20-something years old, check, check, check. That stuff will come, but happiness doesn't come. That's something that you really got to find for yourself. So, yeah, so I think that's kind of just what Rwanda has given me. It's given me such an inner sense of joy where I can at least admit that I hope to other people in a passive state without me necessarily trying hard. But I do have times where I do try hard, and I'm saying that.
You know, because I picked up on it. It was like the last part where we were just talking about in the previous part, how people don't really ask like how you doing and things like that, especially my generation. It's a lot of, you know, like, what you doing? How are you? Good. You know what I'm saying? Good.
What are you achieving?
It's the most common word used in feeling how are you? You know, good. It's, you know, it has to be. Everybody says, I'm good. I'm great.
I need more than that.
I'm delightful.
I'm delightful.
Now, you'll razzle dazzle me if you hit me with that one. But if I really think about it, I'm wondering because a lot of us, we are approaching 25, 26. And I really do want to talk to people because when we do check in their lives and like everybody's life is in like a completely different space. So when I talk to people, I really want to be knowing like it got to be like
connect.
How's your mind like? How you feeling? How's your 20s? How are you experiencing? How has life been up to 25, 26? Because
it's coming at us all a lot differently.
I tell a lot of people in different position and places. So in your life, as far as like friends go, and even family, like how has that been in the people that are in the 20 that's been on this same 20 and up, you know, now we at 25, 26, we getting up in those days, like people been on that journey, like how are they doing mentally? You know, how are they feeling about just life in general, how things are going for them, what the outcome is for them. You know, a lot of people, we don't talk about that with each other. But how can your situation, how can I help your situation make you better just off of something I got going on that we would have never knew that I had going on if we never would have talked about it?
I mean, I guess, I don't know. I can answer that question briefly, or I could tell you what my 20s have looked like until this point.
I want to know what your 20s have been like. That's
fair. Okay, so yeah, I think everyone has their own unique journey that brings them kind of into adulthood, and I think that if you're in the same space as me, 23 to 25, you really are not necessarily where you need to be, but you are trying to lay strong foundations of where you should go, right? And that's kind of just where I am right now. I graduated from college. I went to Africa. I volunteered for a year, and I actually just recently got into law school. So I'm going to be doing that this fall. But everything that got me to this point was hard work and a lot of rejection and a lot of being humbled and having to figure out who I wanted to be as an adult. I think it started off with me going to college. When I left Decatur High School, I was very naive. I wasn't doing much besides playing basketball.
Wow.
And that's pretty much it. I just grinded. That's all I knew was to just play basketball, go to school, and try to be a good kid. And I found that sustained me until I got to college. But when I got to college, it was a whole other thing. Like, you interacting with people from all different walks of life, right? And if you enter college as an athlete, you might not necessarily be the biggest fish anymore. You kind of just a small fish in a big pond. So you kind of have to readjust yourself and kind of figure out where you gotta get in to fit in. For me, I went to Villanova University.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. It's a northeastern school in Philly. And the hardest thing that I had to find out is if you're a person of color, when you pursue higher education, and no matter how high you go, you're always going to be put in a situation where you have to have a reckoning with your identity as an African American, as whatever minority or anything that you are in these spaces that aren't necessarily conducive to that. You have to negotiate what that means in a space like that. And that was basically what it was. I was an African American woman from Georgia who played basketball, but I was in a really predominantly white space. And so in a lot of my classes, I would be one of two black people, and mostly the only African American woman in a lot of my classes. I only had one African American professor, so
What?
I had
Out of a year, you talking about me? Give me a breakdown of the year, right? Not all 4 years.
No, I mean, like,
I'm saying that was just one.
yeah. I mean, a lot of my classes, I was the only black girl in my class.
No black man. No.
I mean,
other black
athletes in those spaces, it's like all the athletes are black, right? So even that, like, you can relate to that.
Who did you see that you was like, homie? I know homie not doing nothing.
I mean, you're on.
That he was just on,
Yeah, yeah.
He just was there, like,
Yeah.
Like,
You're in these spaces, and it's like, what's the percentage breakdown? How many black people are actually at the campus? And you're talking about like a 10%, a 6%. You know what I'm saying? So you're not gonna see that many black people. That's just the reality of the situation.
Please tell me y'all had some form of the one that
Multicultural
were there.
societies.
Yeah, that were there. It wasn't just you felt alone out there.
Yeah.
Like, it was people that you can identify with. Out of that 10%,
Yeah.
I hope some of that 10% came together. Like,
Yeah, it's funny. It's kind of like, it's funny because you watch shows like Blackish and they talking about all this little stuff. Like,
give me the tea. What's it really like?
like you see like shows like Blackish and they're making like little jokes and stuff about like, oh, a black person sees each other, you just nod, like, you just like you acknowledge each other, right? And just little stuff like that. You walking through campus, like there's not many black people, so when I see a black person, I'm like, what's up? I say, what up? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not just about to bypass you, like I don't see you. Or like, all the parties and stuff. Like, I remember as soon as I got on campus, like I didn't know anybody except my teammates. But all of a sudden, all these like black students, upperclassmen had my number and stuff, and they was hitting me up like, oh, there's this party tonight and stuff. And I'm just like, I don't know y'all, but I appreciate the love. You know what I'm saying? But I guess there's not necessarily like like we're all black, we need to be here, but it just happens naturally. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we black, we both ain't no really black people around here, so like let me look out for you. But yeah, that's like on a community level, but then I'm on a personal level as far as like being a student athlete. That was a whole nother thing. And having to negotiate my worth, my perception of my self-worth in relation to how other people were seeing me, which is I think a valuable life skill, because a lot of people will say like, oh, you can only do this, this, and this, and you're only worth this much. And when I got to college, I really was like, man, maybe they're right. Like, maybe I am not as good as I thought I was, or maybe I was. But these are things that you're gonna have to struggle with, because like I came from a place where I was a big fish, you know what I'm saying? And so I got there and I was like, I mean, my production is not great. I'm like an underclassman and all this stuff. And he's saying all this stuff, maybe he's right. And it had me in a real bad headspace throughout my college career, right? And until I went to Rwanda, I was in a really bad headspace, because I was kind of just like, I don't know, like maybe he right, like maybe the facts are the facts and all that stuff. And it came to a point where I had real bad anxiety, depression. I was just like, this is just not where it is. So honestly, Rwanda came at a time where I just was looking for a lifeline in life too. And I think that really came about through God. He really was looking out for me, because I just got a random email that said like, oh, you want to go to Africa? Do you like playing basketball? If these things describe you, sign up. Sent out an application, got the opportunity and went, and I just had a complete shift in who I was. And I learned that it starts with how you value yourself, how you see yourself, and then however you see yourself, it projects to everyone else. So although he was saying that stuff to me in college, I allowed it to enter my subconscious, and I allowed myself to start believing those things. Okay. But the fact of the matter is, you are never going to be qualified for everything in life. Yeah. You are never going to be as good as someone else. Like, it's just numbers, you know what I'm saying? But it's all about how you feel on the inside and what you know you can contribute. Like, I know I'm smart. I know that my capacity to learn is infinite, because I'm always trying to improve. Yeah. And I know I got a good heart, and I know that can sustain me through any situation. I know that God got me. So I needed to learn that lesson. I failed in college, and I won in Rwanda. And now I'm just like, yeah, so.
That's dope. So I take it that you're in a good headspace.
Oh, I'm in a really good headspace. So I left Rwanda and I came back home. And the stuff that I was kind of thinking about going to law school before Rwanda. I took the LSAT, didn't do great. And I was like, I don't really know what I want to do, but let me just go and first get my head right. And that was Rwanda, just kind of getting my mental back into place. But after all the stuff that I saw and just like the vast amount and difference and injustice that takes place, not only in places like America, because we all know the injustice in America that we can see, like the prison industrial complex, all these things that we have to deal with here.
End up, you can still, about these things, even if you're unconscious of it, these things. Exactly. But you don't know.
You don't know everyone else's experience, right?
Everybody else.
So being in a capacity like that, I was like, okay, everyone around the world is struggling, right? But we got to understand how we have to kind of mentally transcend our struggle before we can start to affect change, right? So if you are constantly like getting beat up every day, whatever, by somebody like a bully, and all you see is his fist, you're never going to be able to understand like, oh, well, he has a life that brought him to this point too. It's not just you being acted upon in this situation. It's also something else. And I think that's what going to Rwanda showed me. Like, there's so much history that goes into situations. There's so many factors that go into situations. And what it takes is people boots on the ground with learning and understanding, trying to affect change, right? So it's not just about you always being complaining, always being the victim. At some point, you got to elevate and say, okay, I need to educate myself. I need to grow up so I can help people. And then that's what I did. I came back. First 3 months, I studied, took the LSAT, did halfway decently, grinded out this whole period of just applying to schools and stuff. And just recently, I got into the University of Georgia, which was really a blessing. I was really excited about that. So, yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Right here.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you, Jordan.
I appreciate that. But yeah, the Lord has looked out for me, and I really think that is the only thing that has sustained me, because like I've always had a spirit and a want to gain wisdom, but there's a lot of wisdom to be had out here, not necessarily all going to benefit you. But I think the Lord has strategically, guided me through my life, and I know that He'll guide me further to where I need to go. So, yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let's just talk about things that you be seeing that you talk about with your immediate people that you speak with every day. With George, I'm talking about like this part of the interview. We just on some like real.
Just on some regular.
We just on some social shit.
Let's see. I can tell you some things that I've been struggling with and that I feel like I've been dealing with in the last couple of months. Let's see. What's been a big one? It's always something. I feel like in life, I don't know how everyone else's lives unfold, but in my life, I found that I'm usually dealing with a certain theme or obstacle, let's say for months like at a time. So since I've been back from Rwanda, I've had to deal with more family things in my space. In Rwanda, it was more internal, personal things, but right now, I've kind of just been dealing with myself personally in regards to family, renegotiating my relationships in regards to my family, right? Because your family are people who theoretically are with you from the time that you're a child to the time that you're an old person. And what that looks like is the person I was as a child is not who I am now. The person who I was as a teenager is not who I am now. The person who I was in college is not who I am now, right? So we talked about actually seeing people and actually giving them a chance to be different than who you saw them as before, right? But yeah, just giving people the opportunity to grow in front of you and to be different. Like when you showed up on my doorstep today, I didn't expect for you to be high school Greg. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't, excuse me. I don't know this Greg, right? Yeah. I mean, I know Greg. I know that you're different though. I know that there has time that has passed. Yeah. And so I think more so what this interaction has been is me being like, Greg, what you on now? Yeah. What's going on? Like what's the interview about? And stuff like that. But I had to grow towards that because I saw people in my life who necessarily weren't providing me with that opportunity. I didn't even know it's a thing, right? Sometimes you just know things are happening to you until you're able to say like, nah, this is what's happening. Like this needs to be different, right? But I had to grow to a level of awareness that said like, okay, these people aren't allowing me to be different in these spaces that I've always been in. So let me make sure that I do that for people. And I think that that's very important, that you continue to see people as they evolve. Because life is a long game if you're blessed enough to see
it. If you plan to be in it for a long run, there's going to be a lot of changes.
And hopefully you're changing and growing.
Yeah, I hope you're growing.
So yeah, just learning to be in the present moment, learning to be in my present moment, and forgiving myself for not being everything that I want to be right now, right? Yeah. Giving myself that freedom to grow and change, and giving other people the freedom around me to grow and change, and not necessarily, judging people for not being where I want them to be in my life, not providing the things for me, like on like a friendship level or on a family relationship, like where like I feel like maybe they're doing me a disservice, like, oh, you're not trustworthy as somebody in my life, you know what I'm saying? But that's okay, because people are growing and changing. As long as somebody's showing a positive will to be better than they were the day before, I think that you should always give people the opportunity to do that. So that's kind of where I am right now in this stage. But yeah. What do you think?
And I think I'm correct. In August, you're out. Well, not out, like
going to school.
You're going to still be in the state, but you go to school in August. You told me.
Yeah. So I'll be going in August. I'll be go ahead and starting that next stage of my growth and development, which will be a very, very challenging 3 years. Dedicating myself to the start of a career path, and life's going to change quickly too, but I feel like I'm very well equipped for that, more equipped than I was to pursue my undergraduate education. Like right now where I am, I know who I am and I know how I got here, right? So I definitely, moving forward, I have intentional tools to move forward. So I think that's the important thing.
And it's also you're entering back into a space, everybody's, I don't know,
everybody's
college is, how you just said college was, at Villanova. Now you're going back to college. Yeah. And that's another experience in itself too. Back in, but you won't be around, I don't think, just the
regular population of people.
Yeah.
I'm real excited about it. I'm really excited about it.
Focus.
One thing that I didn't know that I was enjoying while I was an undergraduate is that when you're on a college campus, it's a really unique opportunity to be in an intellectual space. You're literally talking to professors who are the experts in their fields, right? But as a kid, you go in there and be like, no, this is just my English professor. Like, no, he got a whole PhD, like he got a whole degree, like there's so much knowledge that he can give to you. And like when you leave that atmosphere, you don't realize that there are no platforms for that. Like you don't have anywhere to like go and talk to an expert in their field. All you got is these books and the knowledge that you seek out for yourself. And so if anything, I'm just super excited to be back in a space where people are telling, experts in their field are giving me knowledge and giving me keys so that I can move forward in my own career and stuff, and hopefully impart those things back into the next generation of people. But this is an amazing experience. It's definitely a privilege, So I'm excited.
Yeah, I want you to work your butt off, work together, because you got this, like you said, and also with that being, that's going to help you a lot in that mental space, just having those resources there for you. I know one of the reasons I went back to school, I immediately went back for like the second time or something like that, was because I felt like when I graduated from college, that whole, how they say like it's a certain lifestyle that you're in, like when you're in college, so I was out of that, so I was missing certain things, like damn, everyday life ain't, like you said, I can't just go to my professor's office, like I can't go holler at nobody about X, Y, and Z, or it's like I felt like you need somebody, like you need something to do
work
that for you, you know what I'm saying? You
Yeah.
can look over and study all these things individually, but it's something about when you're in school and you're being given certain things, you gotta work on that. You gotta use that mind, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm
important
ready to be
work.
back in there. I was like, you should.
Yeah.
I gotta keep myself up.
Definitely go to school. Get all the keys. You gotta get all the keys. Yeah. It's
that's
important.
one thing I can tell you, tell when people just get it.
It's out there. Knowledge is out there too, and I'm not necessarily saying that school is for everybody. If you're a person that can commit yourself to the pursuit of knowledge, then go for it, man. Like if you out here reading, studying, and being diligent, school is not for you, but we all need to be enhancing ourselves mentally and intellectually. So, very, very important.
Yeah, cause one like what doing? We don't. A lot of us don't spend a lot of time reading or doing stuff like that. You know, like on your iPhone now. I don't know. Which one you're saying? It's talking about the fuck iPhone. I mean, I even know if you had an iPhone.
Yeah.
But like on the phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm losing track of what I was saying. But it was something like it'll come back to me if it wasn't live. It'll come back to me. You know how old people say that. It'll come back to you if it wasn't live. If I didn't come back to you, it was live. But it was just something in that.
You were talking about on your phone and stuff. Do they have people don't read books anymore? And then on your phone,
the screens, your screen time. So you can actually
you
break down
monitor
what
your screen time. I started doing that too.
But
I put myself on all screen time management. That's because you don't realize how much is dominating until you look at that screen time and you've been on there for 15 hours out of a 24-hour day, dog. What else? What in your life do you want that you don't have that you commit those 15 hours to get? That is my question.
That's a true question.
What do you want? And what could you take at least a quarter of those 15 hours towards what you actually want? Because you don't want to be a professional Instagram watcher, but you putting all this time into it.
And a lot of people are. And people weren't professional Instagram watchers. I don't think that the platforms couldn't thrive.
No.
They couldn't thrive if people was really just out here just doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Or people was doing more doing than watching.
Bro, if you got all that time back, you could be a freaking savant, whatever you wanted to be, and whatever craft. If you wanted to be a rapper, bro, you put 15 hours a day into rapping, I give you 3 years. You know what I'm saying? 2,000 hours is nothing, but it's still in our time, and you got to be conscious of where your attention is going, where your time is going, where your money is going. Right? You got to be conscious. You got to be present. But we live in a world that is literally like stealing our money, stealing our consciousness, stealing our presence. You know, so intentionality, man. You got to be intentional.
Yeah, man. So, not to knock social media, because at the same time, I would like everyone to watch this interview on some platform and let us know what you think, because we can start a whole conversation based on what
it's a tool. Social media is a tool.
Shout out Instagram. Y'all keep my videos up. We
don't
cool.
let it run you.
Y'all don't run me, but I'm running this content up.
Play the game, don't get played. Just with everything. Everything in moderation.
Yeah.
I'm living my best life.
And I appreciate you, Jordan.
Yeah, definitely, Greg.
We're going to link up again. I'm going to do these like constantly. It won't just be one time we talk. We're going to talk some more.
Yeah, go ahead and holler at your boy Murad in there. He got some keys from his own personal time. But shout out to Greg, though. Like, you always been a good friend to me. Always been someone who I can talk to no matter what stage of life I'm in. I'm always
that's how you know you solid, you thorough. So, once again, we out. N.y.a details.